You just start a whole new rabbit hole for me to run down now.
Go on the backside, you're gonna say a lot of what things relatives, what made.
Never heard that before.
I would say one observation here before I throw this computer through the wall. No longer live. We are, but I don't know, one of them just doesn't, it's almost like it's been this way for a while now. I don't know what's going on. That one won't turn on live. I was trying to ignore it because everything else is live. It's just gonna say, seeing nonsense.
Well, Dave's still with us. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Loud and clear. And a denarii was 1 day's wage. I was looking up on the web, it shows there's about 3 denarii to a shekel back in biblical times.
Okay,
Just,
forgot my ancient.
3 days
number.
wait of a shekel.
right, right.
Makes it quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Be what, 1,200 days worth?
Yeah.
That sound right?
A lot of work, yeah.
To jump off on a rabbit.
So one thing I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna completely ignore this for a second. Abraham's still being blessed by God. He's trying to give away this money, and nobody will take it. Or literally just say, go bury your dead. So I look at one point as, yeah, his benefits are still there, bless you. But then I wonder also that why he's insisting. And I think Josiah is right, so he could start a family plot. Yeah, so he can start his. I mean, it makes sense to me. Yeah. I want half your farm so I can bury my wife, and they're like, dude, she's dead, put her in the ground, what's wrong with you? Like, go.
Eventually, I think he's buried at the same plot. At the same place. I'm trying to remember if that's correct or not. Somebody help me out.
I would have to say yes.
And then I also think that's probably the location they took Joseph's bones back to when they came out of Egypt.
I would say yes as well. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. That's some stuck here, but I can't think of anything that.
Yeah.
Says this has to be that way. That's what I've got in my mind, whether it's right or not.
We'll be there in like 10 chapters. Yeah. Definitely in about 25 chapters, he'll be in the ground. Yeah, or he'll be dead anyway.
Well, there's all sorts of reasons he could want to own the land. One is if you don't own it and the owner decides that they want to do something else with the land, and all of a sudden, oh, you're dead, not mine. I don't care about the bodies.
Well, you didn't pay anything for it, so what interest do you have in it? You have nothing in the land, therefore. Might renege on who actually owns it, even though they said they gave it away in front of the
Yeah.
people.
In 25, you're right, they bury him at McCliff near Mammoth. In the field of,
I think we see an insight into the culture and the times of the people. There are cultures in which, especially if you're trying to honor somebody, you don't take their offer the first time. Would be considered quite rude when they offer to pay you and you take it the first time. If there's somebody of a high position or somebody you really respect, it's kind of a back and forth before the deal's actually struck. And that's expected in some cultures.
And if I
He
understand,
kind of goes into it.
this was the Hittites, not the Philistines.
Mm-hmm.
Abimelech, where Sarah is taken because of her beauty, this is not there. I don't know exactly where this location is. But it's not the same group of people that he's talking to. And they do not mention Abimelech in this passage whatsoever, but the Hittites. And I tend to think of them being in a little different area in Israel of ancient times. The Philistine land would be real close to what we know as the Gaza Strip today. Look it up on a map, you'll get real close to the Philistine territory. Although I don't think there's any Philistines there today, because of what the Bible says. Best of my recollection. But that's pretty much that same strip of ground, and it was a strip of ground that was always hard for Israel to maintain and always went backwards and forth. If I'm thinking correctly, and he's outside that, so he's in a more stable area. He's in an area in which they probably honor Abraham as a great prince among them, as it says, than in other parts of the land. I would guess that it may have been one of the Hittites that went with Abram to battle to rescue Lot. He had some of them there, and they're mentioned. I don't remember the exact people, but this seems to be somebody that was a group of people that was a little more user friendly. Would that be a way to say it? Not so much war against or aggravated against. It may be a little afraid of what Abraham may do if they say no. Abraham still has a large company with him. Nothing says that 318 trained men, although they may not still all be alive, but I'm assuming that a good portion of it is, and maybe more have been trained.
I think it might be, you're new in the land, we see you as our peers, and your wife dies. It's almost like a common courtesy, no, just bury her. Like, it's okay, just do whatever you're gonna do. But he's very insistent on doing it the right way.
I think what Mike said earlier about Abraham still being blessed by God is very much true. As I recall, Pharaoh gave Abram more silver than what he weighed out for that, even though I tend to think of being a lot. I was thinking it was 1,000 at least. I have to go back and look it up.
Look at 19 there, Hebron, where's that? Anybody know on the map? Geologically, where that be at?
I don't have
According to what I looked up, it's a bit south of Jerusalem. Just
There, yeah. Yeah, it's down there a little way. Don't know how far they were from that sea there, but
Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and about twice that distance south is Hebron. Which would have put them at the very far southern extremity of what I was showing for the Hittite area.
For some reason, I think this is your fault, this one won't come on.
And I don't know. Has it been giving you trouble every week or just this week?
Last couple weeks.
Maybe you need to do that upgrade there. You see that upgrade thing? See what it says upgrade up there, Mike?
I can't, that's not what that is, that's upgrade to another plan,
It's not related, okay.
I want to pay more money. Yeah. But I can't, I'm already have the highest one they got. Yeah. I try not to look at it, 'cause I look at it, and I'm doing this, and not doing anything else.
So did we lost Dave?
No,
Dave's
we're
there.
just, it's the Baptist site's the only one he's having trouble with on Facebook.
It's something.
That's, that's the reason he's saying it's something Bart did. Which Bart had trouble getting in there the other day too. I don't know. what's
I don't know,
wrong.
Dad was trying mighty hard to get us banned a little while ago on Facebook.
Yeah,
I guess 2 weeks ago
Oh.
Sunday, he said it. Said some stuff that mom's going, Don.
he said- and he even said from the pulpit, I really don't care. I really don't care if we get banned from the internet.
It's only gonna get worse, I guess.
It is getting worse. Watch the news, was it? Some school banned a religious school from playing basketball with them.
They didn't want the religious school playing
I think
basketball.
it's up in Vermont. Yeah. There's a church school. They won't let them play basketball. The other school won't let them play basketball.
They're offended, ain't they?
What do you think, Dave? Why did you try to buy the field?
To get a little plot of the promised land and by paying for it in front of all these people, you know, it's his land after all versus having it given to him. I'm just guessing. I was reading some other inputs to land approximately that size would go for 7 shekels. So he definitely overpaid, or he paid to make sure that it would stay in the family.
Efron said it was 400 shekels. That's what he thought it was worth. Must be a good sized field, then.
Sounds like it.
Well, when it gives a further description, it talks about the field and the trees and the other things there. May have been a very choice plot, is my guess.
Yeah.
And for some reason emphasize that it's the price for land for burial ground. Seems like that's a little different than the price for buying it as a farm.
Yeah.
So he's paying a premium. But I think he's asking for premium.
Want to make sure that they're not gonna come back and say, oh, we got shortchanged or anything like that. It's what he did.
Well, if we look back to a couple chapters ago. When he's rescued Lot from. Oh, which group was that took Lot?
The bad guys.
Yeah, anyway, and he doesn't take any of the wealthy, any of the spoils from Sodom and Gomorrah, because he will not let anyone
Yeah.
say that Sodom and Gomorrah made him rich.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a continuation of that. He's not going to let anybody in that region say, well, we
We gave you a
expanded
handout.
your wealth, we made you what you are today.
Point.
So I'm just seeing a lot of consistency from him, that he does not take anything undo him from the people of the land.
But I think it's very much like you said, Joe, though, it was sort of a negotiation. That was probably prevalent in that culture to go back and forth. Which is what seemed to happen there, you know. To decide on the final price. And Abraham was, you know, gracious to bow down before him and. But then they finally came to an agreement. Simple enough.
Or,
You know,
I don't know if it's technical term, but hillbilly term, that's what they used to call haggling.
Yeah.
exactly.
This is almost the inverse of that, because neither one's actually trying to talk down the price.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if anything, I think Abraham's saying, hey, look, I'm asking premium ground, I'm willing to pay premium price. What's your dollar?
Right.
Whatever you state, I'll meet it.
Just trying not to get, they're not taking his money.
They were probably real pleased with that money.
So,
Can we go to 24?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Well, that's a whole nother can of long rabbits, cliches.
Well, 23 to me is very simple
Yeah,
history. I mean,
Yeah.
it's showing us what occurred.
Yeah.
At this place at that time. We get a little insight into the culture and the people, but that's about it.
I agree.
If there's any deep hidden theology in there, I'm missing it.
Well, let's read the next chapter, 1 through 9.
I have Dave read it.
Sure.
Sure. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who had charge of all that he had, put your hand under my thigh, that I may make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but will go to my country and to my kindred, and take a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman may not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I then take your son back to the land from which you came? Abraham said to him, see to it that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and who spoke to me and swore to me, to your offspring I will give this land. He will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this oath of mine. Only you must not take my son back there. So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Is that where you want me to stop?
Yes, I think that's good.
Okay.
That's a good stop.
Well, nowadays they call that racist. Huh?
How'd you come up with that?
Well, if the land they was in, it'd be like Josiah, you can't get you a woman in Hugh, Missouri. You gotta go to Rich Hill.
Really smart to go elsewhere.
Better than going back to Illinois, I think.
Well, yeah. You can't get one in Missouri, so go back to Illinois and get you a wife.
well, they might be a little bit prettier, you know.
Might
Be a little prettier than at another time.
Maybe they got more pleasant attitudes, I don't know.
But I'm saying today, way everybody, or not everybody.
Well,
They look at it that way though.
Yeah.
Humor aside, Canaan was, and the descendants of Canaan are whom was cursed by Noah.
Right.
He's saying, don't get a bride from the cursed.
Well, didn't they worship a lot of idols?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
so
why-
did Abraham left another land of idol worship, but very close to Babylon, which is the mother of idol.
Right.
So it's not the idea that they didn't worship idols back at Abraham's home. He's saying, don't get a woman of the cursed is really what I think he's saying here.
Yes.
What else?
Well, I don't see it being racist. I don't know where that came from.
Came from Jim.
That says a lot.
I'm just going by today's standard. That's what they would say.
It's like him, he didn't say, go, don't you dare go marry somebody who ain't this color or that color or this.
No,
He just said, and that's warning is prevalent throughout the Old and New Testament. Don't go marry somebody of, don't be unequally yoked is what I'm gathering out of this part. Make sure she's, for lack of a better word, a Jew.
right.
Yeah, I almost said Christian, but they ain't been invented yet. Yeah, we're still in Genesis.
So the Jewish line hasn't been established yet either.
Well, Josiah pretty much hit that on the head, because the land of Canaan was, they worship idols.
and they were cursed, so therefore Josiah pretty much nailed it on the head, I believe, as far as.
I mean,
There would be a
we
lot of
call
issues
Jews
by doing
because
it.
of Judah, and he's not born yet.
Yeah, well, he has been called a Hebrew already.
Yeah,
We're looking at this and God is building his nation. And Abraham is the foundation of that nation, and he's selecting a group of people, and God has already prepared Rebecca, if you will, for this, but nobody knows it yet. And so we're jumping ahead a little bit. That God is taking a line of people as close to Abraham as he can get, and he's going to build a nation out of this people. So he's being selected in this, and yet there's another big important thing in this story that we often overlook. Do not take my son back. Do not go back. Do not go back to Egypt. If you want a better picture of this, do not go back to Egypt.
Don't take it back, is it?
At the end of, all their travels through the desert, they wanted to go back to Egypt. God says, no, don't go back to Egypt. At the end of Jeremiah, where do they want to go?
Egypt.
Back to Egypt. Don't go back to Egypt. Don't go back. Do not take my son back there. I want somebody from there, and they're coming to you. It's like being like a boat in the water, and that's okay. There's no water in the boat. I'm picking one, and you go look and find that one. And God will lead you and bring you to whom it needs to be. But under no circumstance, take my son back. He doesn't go back. You don't go backwards when serving God. And God is building the nation, and he will use whom he chooses. And I think there's a reason for him choosing these, but these two things are going on together, and this lineage is pretty tight. Abraham married a half sister. And now Isaac is going to marry a fairly close relative, which would be probably illegal in most states today. I don't know just how far that is, but you could run it back and find out that she's closely related in there. He's building a nation from a particular range. And he's doing that intentionally, and it's God doing it, not
God's done it, then it's the right way.
yeah, it's the right way, and like he says, do not take my son back. The servant asked the question, he says, tell him no, and then at the end of his explanation says, under no circumstances, basically, do you take my son back there? He's not to go back. We're here in the promised land. That's where God wants us to be. And don't take him out. You go. He wasn't of Abraham's lineage. He was a servant. That, keep these things in mind. God is nation building right here, or building his people. And I think that's highly important to the one that he has chosen. And he knows the circumstances. God knows the end from the beginning. And therefore he knows what's going to transpire. But none of the rest of them did. Even Abraham didn't know. He said, this is what I've been instructed to do. This is how you're to do it. Just go do it. Kind of like sacrificing Isaac to start with, just go do it. Don't let anything get in the way, just go do what I'm telling you to do. And make this oath to me that you will not alter in what I've told you to do.
Keeping that bloodline close.
Yes, that bloodline's close.
God's providing the details whenever you get there.
And this would make the servant rely upon God. I'm getting ahead of the story. I'm going back out of that one. But nonetheless, there's a point to all these things. And yet, I think the major point here is do not go back.
well, there's a reason God called Abram out from leave your family, leave that area. Don't stick where the idols and the pitfalls that you're so familiar with are so prevalent and will draw you back in. Get out of there.
Like Lot.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Lot was one of them that got put into it, so to speak, by sitting
When
around
you
there.
went up to Jerusalem to worship, you went in one gate and you left by another. Tradition. That's what I've read. I don't know anywhere that it says it, but you don't go back the way you came. You may go back to where you came from in the land, but you don't go by the same path. And so we look at this, that God is going to lead us into something new and different. But we can't go backwards, we gotta go forward. You can't take the promised child of God, Isaac, backwards to where you were. Is to grow up here in this land and go forward. I'm done.
Good stuff in here, this next, while we're getting that next chapter, we'll see some stuff already kind of.
Go ahead, read, Randy.
Oh, I thought we were gonna save that for next week.
No, we can read a few verses.
Do you?
Go down to, down to 13, 10 to 13, 10 to 12.
13.
Yeah, stop it, don't read 13.
Okay, the two verses. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, for all his master's goods were in his hand. And he rose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. I don't know. I said that wrong. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by well water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. Then he said, "O Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me success this day and show kindness to my master Abraham." Pretty setting it up, wasn't he? He figured it's gonna be that day.
What I like is verse 12. And he prayed to Abraham's God. And he said, "O Lord God of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me God's good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master." So even his servants know what's
They
good.
were being disciplined in what they had to do.
Yeah,
You also knew the name of the Lord.
yes.
By making the camels kneel down as well, he was showing what?
He's the camel herder.
I forgot. Maybe they're trained. I don't know.
They didn't kneel down, yeah.
Maybe they're showing respect, I guess,
No, he just
for
said,
him to show respect, but
Well, they would have to kneel down to climb on one anyway.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the situation. I wasn't in time, so I couldn't tell you. I just looked on a deal on this faucet on this deal and I'm good. I got my water.
it's getting late in the evening. He's getting ready to set up possibly camp for the night. He's getting the camels to settle down and settle in, so I'm seeing there. I think that's probably just standard practice.
Could be.
Right. What do you think, Dave, before I chase a rabbit?
We'll chase a camel.
I'm gonna chase a bear, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any input. You guys are doing a great job. I think what you said earlier, Mike, about being unequally yoked, if Abraham didn't want his son to be yoked with a person that would possibly cause him to deviate from serving God, serving the little g gods back in that time frame.
The man-made star focus.
Yeah.
Yes. Why was it like? Those funnies were never enough. Yeah.
So,
It reminds me of the Shark movie. Shark Bait. Was it Finding Nemo? Yeah, that's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so he's not moving backwards. He continues to move forward spiritually. Sometimes we're surprised by people who may be the most humble spiritual people that we see them every day, but we don't see them.
Let's finish the prayer, okay? In we're at verse 13, aren't we? Yeah, so the servant is still praying. See, I am standing beside this spring, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a girl, please let down your jar, that I may drink, that I may have a drink, and she says, drink, and I'll water your camels too. let her be the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. So that was the end of his prayer, and he, all the way through, he's thinking in terms of what Abraham wants for his, himself and for his son Isaac. And now he's at a place where he knows the women